Welcome to another episode of the RAG podcast. And for those of you who don't know, the RAG stands for Recruitment Agency Growth. Since early 2019, I've been interviewing the most successful and innovative recruitment owners to learn how they rose to the top of their game. In season 7, I'm going to be having raw, authentic, and insightful conversations with agency owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, people across the industry. And I want to be learning about their ambitions, what's happening behind the scenes in their agencies today, and their plans to navigate difficult market conditions. I'll be bringing you the latest and greatest recruitment stories every single week on Wednesdays at noon across multiple platforms. Stay tuned. Hello and welcome back to another episode of the RAG podcast. On this week's show, I'm excited to be looking at another of Access Group's products. This time it's a platform called ELAY. ELAY is a automation platform that was recently acquired by the Access Group based on their initial success of integrating well with Vincere and working across their portfolio of clients. In this episode, I interviewed both the automation general manager, which is Mehdi Este, who's the founder of ELAY, and Nick Beecroft, who's the head of business or head of new business for Access Recruitment Group. I've known Nick for a long time. This was my first time meeting Mehdi, but they are a really good duo. Mehdi gives us the story of ELAY, where it came from, how it developed, and exactly what the platform does. And Nick talks more from a client and industry's perspective as to why you would want to put this into your system. Why would automation, both in your CRM and on LinkedIn, benefit a recruitment business of all sizes and scales? So AI and automation is a buzzword. Honestly, I've talked about this a lot recently, that it can be overwhelming, it can be scary. What we do in this episode is we break it down into logical steps and things that you can start to do that will get you moving forward without sending out millions of emails and pissing people off and creating problems that I talk about a lot. So you're going to enjoy this episode without a doubt. Without further ado, Mehdi and Nick, welcome to the RAG podcast.
Hi, mate. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Pleasure. It's good to have you both. Nick, obviously, I know you pretty well. Mehdi, this is the first time we've met, so good to meet you. Guys, I'm excited about this episode because I've done a bit of research, but the product itself is something I don't know that much about. I think there's a lot of people who will be interested to hear more about the product. But before we talk anything to do with business, I think we have to have a brief discussion about Ryan McCabe and the tragic news we received this week. Obviously, this show will be aired in a few weeks' time, but it's Tuesday, the 25th of June, and I only found out this time yesterday, about 10 a.m. Nick, I knew Ryan pretty well, but nowhere near as well as you knew Ryan. How are you?
Look, it's been a rough couple of days for everyone close to him, right? And me and Ryan worked together for 10 years, right? It was 10 years ago, 6 weeks ago, that me and Ryan first worked together. And we'd had a rough couple of years, me and Ryan, after leaving Odro, and now it seems so futile, right? And I regret a lot of that. But it's like losing a brother, it's like losing a mentor and a friend, and the hole that we all, the gap that we all see and feel is enormous, and it's heartbreaking, genuinely. He gave me a platform to have everything that I have, and my family owe him an awful lot. There was a time in my life when we were really struggling and we had nothing, and he selfishly pulled us out of a hole without even a second thought. Like the guy's kindness goes much greater and much deeper and quietly without need for thanks or praise. And he was a visionary in this industry, and he was a passionate leader who cared deeply about the people in his organisation, and that's testament to the fact that many of us who were in that early phase have all gone on to do really great things in our career, and that's in large because Ryan's boldness and his energy made you want to go and do more. And I never tell him this, and I can't now, and I'm gutted I can't, but I just wanted to be like him on a lot of those respects, and have that energy and that boldness and the way people view him. And it's not a tribute, but like there is an incredible legacy that we've all seen in the last 24 hours that the way he affected this industry on a global scale, and that's not something that will ever be lost. And his memory will be carried on by the people that love him and the people that care about him. And it's heartbreaking and devastating, but the impact he had in a short time is greater than many might have in their entire life, and that says so much.
Totally agree. The one memory I've got of him was when the pandemic hit, and he was the first person to just check in and say, "How are you, mate?" He probably did it to every supplier because he had that ability to build those relationships. That there wasn't many there's not many suppliers I've ever spoke to as much as him, and he was like, "We'll get through this." He had this like confidence straight away. Obviously, I think he knew video was going to be even more needed in the pandemic. I think he spotted an immediate opportunity that maybe
totally
didn't have that in our back pocket, but
effortlessly cool, and it was quite annoying at times to be quite frank. But you make your own luck, and it was his talent and his vision and his ability to spot and see opportunity that drove all that through that period of time. Right, it doesn't just happen. And again, as I say, he gave a platform for an awful lot of people to succeed through that period when it didn't seem like there was much hope, and he was that big energy, bringing the running and all the little things that just seem insignificant but were visionary and were naturally community building. And it's just all those tiny things. And I think as time goes by and people think of all the small incidental things that Ryan impacted and inflicted into this space, we'll realise just what a massive impact he's actually had.
I remember when you all turned up at the expo in London in kilts and you did that little pre-video.
I looked at a photo out yesterday on Sunday. I was talking to Dougie a lot back and forth through the day, and it was a very mixed emotion. But we were looking back at the photos from the early days when it was just sort of 5-6 into the business, and then we found that photo. The three of us standing in kilts. It was his idea, of course, and the reaction that we got was incredible. So
amazing.
Yeah,
you had an energy, and there was something about. I mean, I think there was me and Hisham, and then you guys trying to do similar things in different businesses.
Yeah.
We had we just respected what you guys were doing, and
totally.
I wish the guys at Odro as a company now the best. I know I can only imagine what it'd be like, and no, I don't think there's any business succession planning for this, and it's just not something you consider. And more importantly, his friends and family. His family, his wife, he's got 3 boys. I put myself in those shoes, and it's heartbreaking. His wife sent a message in that group last night, in that WhatsApp group. Did you see it? And she replied via his phone, and she sent a long, I don't know how she wrote it. It was so strong, so powerful. It was phenomenal to say, thank you for your messages. Everyone's words are given a strength. And she just spoke about how he obviously passed away in an accident, but he was doing what he loved. He was on his bike. He was out doing what he's, and some people might now refrain from doing things like extreme sports or whatever based on these things that happen, or you can live like him, and you can go and do what you want to do, and you can live every day as if it's your last. And I just thought obviously I don't know the woman, but she's incredible if she can put that into words so soon.
I was so grateful. Me and Ryan had a rough time in the last couple of years when I'd left Odro, and we hadn't had much interaction and contact. Pride in a lot of ways probably kept us apart, but only 6 weeks ago, on the 10th anniversary of us working together, we'd reached out, and we'd had a good opportunity to chat on a couple of occasions, and we cleared the air. And I mean, today everything seems so futile, and I'm so grateful that we did have the opportunity to do that. But a good man, a good family man, loved his wife and kids, and that's a greater legacy than anything he has here.
Yeah, what a legend. Okay, we do need to move on into today's topic. All right, thanks for that, Nick. Appreciate it. In terms of your business, Mehdi, I've done a brief introduction, but I can never do it justice. What is the product? How would you describe what you guys are? For those that have never heard of you, don't understand what the business does.
Yeah, thank you for that introduction, Sean, and obviously condolences to Ryan's family, of course. So to give you some context, essentially ELAY is a one-stop shop for recruiters that want to sort of automate processes within different life stages of their recruitment workflows. So we've built several products over the years, ranging from chatbots to CRM automation to sort of cold outreach emails and other platforms as well. Effectively we've created a hub where you combine several products all under one roof and all sort of integrate and transfer data between them really efficiently. So yeah, that's to kind of give you some context around what ELAY does.
Okay. And how long ago did you guys integrate within the Access group?
So historically, Vincere itself was, I think, one of the first integrations we ever built. So all the way back in sort of 2020, when the original founder Bernie was there, we did a very kind of high-level automation demo for them. And they saw the vision and gave us access to a sandbox environment to go ahead and build which at the time was the first automation platform for that CRM. And yeah, ever since then, obviously, we've built products for that ecosystem, for that solution. And then, very recently, of course, bringing that sort of automation capabilities to the Access world as well, which, yeah, we're very excited about.
I bet. Nick, from your perspective, what do you think? Why do you think Access wanted this product into the estate?
I think anyone who takes the opportunity to see it will understand. It's a very easy decision when you see the tech and you see how powerful it can be. But we've been on this journey of change and acquisition, as you know, and there's a very strategic plan around how we view what the market wants in the future. We can see the gap, we can see the need, and we can see the way recruiters want to go. We want to do more with what they have. They don't necessarily always want to scale headcount. They want to drive their bottom line with better, deeply integrated tech. And people are fatiguing with many suppliers. They don't want many billing cycles. They don't want many suppliers. They don't want that anymore. They don't want lots of support channels. They want a support channel, and they want one tech platform. And we are very strategically, if you go back even 5 years from the Volcanic acquisition, very strategically buying tech that has given deep impact across what we call the recruitment operating system. So this sits across a lot, whereas we've made strategic key purchases at front, middle, and back office. What ELAY actually does and what actually gives is the opportunity for deep automation and AI capability through every element of the recruiter's life cycle, from the earliest point around attraction and engagement through allowing one payroll employee to process up to 2,000-3,000 pays a week on their own through deep, highly automated technology. And what ELAY does is give greater control, more engagement, greater cleansing of your data. It allows you to control the process and allow your consultants to focus in on revenue generating activity rather than the mundane tasks down here that take up 40%, 50% of the week. And when ELAY came around, and the relationship's been great for years, and they've co-sold together for a long time, it made sense when you start to see the vision around the RecOS that ELAY would be that core piece that sits across all of it to drive all that automation around that. And it's so impressive when you see it. We've used it as a sales team for 7 months now before the acquisition came to fruition. We have scaled our ability to cross the market in our ICP. We have seen greater engagement. We have, connected with a wider market and allowed us to go deep into relationship with people and have warm, deep relationship with people through socials, for example, and our outreach capacity. So when you start to scale out across client and candidate, but not just that, existing database and how you can then nurture all that in the process, it's a deeply powerful tool.
Can someone give me an exact process example? Because I hear this a lot from automation.
Yeah, totally.
Save time, efficiency, they're all really cool words, really great buzzwords. But I spend a lot of time in this world. If I'm sitting here thinking, well, give me an example, then I'm pretty confident my guests will be thinking the same thing, right? So
yeah, of course.
I don't know if it's you, Mehdi, or Nick, I don't really mind, but someone take me through a journey of something you would do in recruitment and how this platform supports it and makes it better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mehdi?
So yeah, one great example is you look at the average recruiter, Sean, they've got 50,000 candidates, 25,000 contacts on their CRM, and they probably only speak to 5% of that, maybe 5-10% of it. So you've got a wealth of data which you're actually not using, and then you're having to spend money on job boards and external sources to kind of get new candidates to the door, get new prospects through the door. But essentially, a great example of where we've applied ELAY is being able to create a system that basically looks through your CRM, looks at the data that's sat there aging away, and automating outreach, automating timed sort of emails, text messages, user journeys, whereby we can say, you've been on our database for 6 months, just wanted to check in with you, see how things are going. Maybe could you fill us in maybe what's changed in your career, and then essentially taking that new information, uploading it into the CRM, and then essentially filling in the top of the funnel with new prospects, new candidates. So that's a very textbook example.
But how would it happen? Like I'm thinking about my job.
Yeah.
How? Like I'm a recruiter.
Could be any trigger or action, right? So if you think of any branching technology, if this, then that sort of technology.
But do recruiters want to get involved at a desk level in branch level technology?
But they don't have to.
Right.
That's the thing.
That's my question. So how did it happen?
So it happens in a number of ways, right? Because there are preset, predetermined, high impact sequences already pre-built, right? But they can be controlled from one place, whoever runs that. It can be A/B tested as it runs through, and it can then start to fix that down into the most optimum method of communication for the people at the time. It basically just triggers based on any field in your CRM, any field whatsoever. You go, if this is that, start this process. And it will then manually, and it can go as far and as deep as, I want you to actually go and write a message with this tonality to this sort of person and then present it to me so that I can take it to the market. Or it can pull media that you have and it can feed it to people based on triggers and actions. And the way that the technology is going, the way we're looking at ways in which you can actually understand trends of data in your own CRM. So we're looking at ways in which you can say, we know that this candidate likely is going to leave their position in 3 to 6 months' time based on the data that we have on it. We also know that then means this hiring manager associated to them is probably going to be looking for a job, looking for a candidate with that skill set. So what the technology is having the ability to do as we develop this out is already produce candidates 3 months in advance that the system nurtures on your behalf by keeping in touch, sending them the standard outreach, meaning these candidates are already in the mindset as they move towards their average tenure to be brought into your funnel at the right time, so the conversation's warm and you have jobs already.
So let's just practically work this out, because I'm thinking if I'm a recruitment leader, what size of business do I need to be to execute something like this? Like if I haven't got that person who's doing the control, can I do it, or do I need a marketing operation type person in the business?
Yeah, so we've deployed ELAY with agencies all the way from one user shown all the way to 1,000. So the good thing is we have a library of automations that you can quickly build and deploy without actually anyone having to kind of build them for you, custom to your, for example, CRM or your workflows. And essentially it just means whether you're at the point of scaling, trying to grow your database, get new candidates, clients through the door, you can use those templates that we provided for you to just pretty much build. Of course, as you start to scale, you've got more personnel on the team, somebody from marketing, from operations that can sort of manage these products from a high level perspective. It just means you can kind of perhaps go into more fine granular detail about maybe A/B testing, finding out what message is working better with your audience. But we've really designed ELAY to kind of scale all the way from sort of one man band businesses all the way to large enterprise businesses as well.
But I'm just thinking, like, let's say a one man band
yep.
has a database full of people. I think it's so powerful what you're saying, that they can reach out to at scale and update the database. But are they going to get hammered with replies in their inbox from hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of, if people do reply, or does that go automatically into the system? Like, how does that work? I'm just thinking, like, practically, if I woke up on a Monday morning and I had like 300 replies, is that going to kill my day because I'm missing things that I was? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's all about funneling traffic, right? So, for example, I myself always have jobs that I'm recruiting for within ELAY to kind of recruit, and we use a chatbot to essentially pre-screen and find out who's actually relevant for the job. So anyone that applies for one of the jobs that I've got posted will be sent a chatbot, and then people are speaking to it right now as we're speaking, filling in their questions, entering kind of why they want to apply for this role, what transferable skills they have into the opportunity, and at the end of the day, I'll just go and have a look at the 100 people that have spoken to it, and then I'll pick out the best 10 that I think are going to be suitable for the role. And I think that's where the time-saving element comes in. It's like, as long as you can funnel your traffic, to one of the, surveys or the chatbots or the data instances that we have, that's kind of really where you can control whether the data goes to you, to your CRM, comes to you on email, and you can really control what your preferences are.
But even more so than that, and to answer your point a bit more directly as well, ELAY's been built with human behaviour in mind. So what it's never going to do is say, I'm going to send 50,000 of these out, right? That's one way to get caught in a spam filter, or that's one way to just flood your inbox and then just get lost and overwhelmed. What it does is actually follow human behaviour. So it will start a sequence of human behaviour so that it's not overwhelming you, and it is nurturing at a level and a rate that a human would typically follow without the human actually having to do it, meaning the human only gets involved when certain lead scoring lands on a certain, at a certain point, when interaction is held, when a link is clicked, whatever that might be as a trigger an action beyond that. So yeah, you might send out 50,000, but that might take 4 weeks.
Can it do the marketing automation from like the more fancy newsletter type emails all the way to the singular sales based automation, like HubSpot sequences and workflows, like they're two separate sections? It's a similar sort of thing you can do in both.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can go ahead and create kind of, the standard HTML templates. What's actually really interesting is you can also track the activities that you have on your website. So for example, if you've sent a marketing email out, someone's maybe clicked on it a few times, they've also gone ahead and viewed your website, you can then create another automation to say, hey, look, I can see you've been on our website for a few times. Would it make sense maybe for us to set up a quick call, all the way down to sort of looking at heat maps in terms of what they've clicked onto your emails, what links have actually interested them, or how long they've looked at the content, who they forwarded onto. So it's a really powerful 360 suite where it is a really kind of marketing platform that will kind of give you all the data you need, both whether it's business development or candidate generation activities going forward.
Yeah.
The other thing, I think one of the most exciting parts of the entire platform and its capability is that it has LinkedIn RPA technology, which allows you to actually go deep into LinkedIn at scale. So one of the challenges that we face, and this is another big reason why it became a no-brainer, is I have never spoken to a recruiter or a recruitment business owner that can really fully justify the cost of LinkedIn Recruiter and what the actual return that they get. Most people, they're left with thousands of in-mails every month. They don't actually know how they can trigger down on, well, that's actually what we generated through LinkedIn Recruiter. It can become a challenge. And I'm sure that's something that you speak to a lot, right, based on the work that you guys do. And what this allows you to do is, whether you're paying for LinkedIn or not, it allows you to use our LinkedIn RPA technology to, at scale, maximize what you have available on that account. So whether that be literally finding lists of ICP customers or candidates and feeding them into nurture campaigns through LinkedIn. It could be, we've got a good example of someone who was left with 3,000 in-mails a month across their business, which just roll and roll and roll, and it was sitting at 30,000. And what that allowed them to do is actually run a campaign of in-mails, and it allowed them just to go and use the credits that they can't currently use and drive engagement and get value out of LinkedIn, so that they can tangibly come back and say, I know that ELAY on top of LinkedIn with Vincere as my CRM drives higher engagement, cleaner database, and more placements. And that is enormous for anyone.
In ELAY, you can see a name, contact record, and then you'd have an option to see their LinkedIn profile and their CRM profile, right? Yep. And then you can choose to either email or send a LinkedIn in-mail or DM. Is that possible?
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it can go as far. You can remove connection requests. That's one of the most valuable bits for me. I had like 5,000 connection requests that hadn't been accepted for 8 years, right? And one of the first things I did was just pull the list, feed it, and it just removed them all for me.
Is that, like Mehdi, I mentioned this on the call with Nick last week.
Yeah.
Is this going against LinkedIn's terms and conditions? Because Tripify, Wallachsy, Meet Alfred, there's all these tools out there that automate LinkedIn activity, but my advice has always been to be very careful, because LinkedIn's conditions are clearly stating that they don't want to automate human behavior in the platform. Yeah. What's your take on that?
I think if you're being very cautious with, how you're using, first of all, we've always complied with what sort of LinkedIn does in terms of their terms of using automated solutions. This is very much a tool that the person has to actually drive forward. So it's not very much so. And, you look at all the other vendors like ZoomInfo or Lusher, they all have these extensions that, you will need to go ahead and actually, have a human involved to do that. So, I think in that capacity, we always help our customers stay on the right side of the terms and conditions for LinkedIn.
So automating like sequenced emails in LinkedIn is within the terms of conditions. You can do that as long as you set it
outside of the emails sit outside of LinkedIn, so that's completely fine.
What about the you're not automating DMs though in LinkedIn or in mail?
The user an initial point will have to enter them into the workflow themselves. So yes, in that capacity, then again, that's not an automated procedure.
What we're not doing is driving people to spam LinkedIn. It doesn't allow you to do that. It proactively acts against that. And ELAY, it just simply won't allow it to happen. So what it does is keep in the right side of the terms, because it just mimics human behaviour at scale, meaning that you could just get more out of the platform that you're paying for, as opposed to someone setting off a campaign of 150,000 messages to be sent out now, today, at this time, just to spam a network.
Which just doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
Doesn't work. No chance. A message from our sponsor, Vincere. Another of their products is known as Time Temp. This is your complete integrated timesheet workforce management solution. It's pre-built, it's pre-integrated, and it's designed so no matter how much your business grows, you'll be able to keep track of every single worker in one place in your CRM. All the changes inside Vincere will sync with Time Temp and they'll be fed back into your account, automating the entire process with two-way sync from your front to back office. Vincere's Time Temp enables you to create shift schedules, search available workers, shortlist and book assignments in seconds. They'll also allow you to track time, track leave, track expenses within their built-in payroll engine. It's called Door Clock. And then they've also got a mobile app for the on-the-go worker. If, again, you're looking to get more from your CRM, Vincere's Time Temp solution is another tool that enables you to perform more of your business-critical processes in your CRM. Find out if you could use Time Temp via the link in the show notes. Right, let's get back to it. One thing I talk about on a lot is automation, and I think it's dangerous when you're going after cold data. What I like about what you're doing is it's a different solution to solve the same problem that I'm saying, which is you've already got the data in most instances. In your LinkedIn first degree network and in your CRM, you've got data that you've had some interaction with. What are you doing with that? It's not you're not buying lists on Lusher or ZoomInfo and just spamming them. You're thinking about, there's already a database here of people that have been sat there collecting dust effectively. Could you have you got any client examples where they've been able to genuinely reignite a database and see some tangible wins from it?
I think off the top of my head, there was a company called VHR. I think they've got quite a sizable database.
Right.
And they hadn't spoken to candidates, I think maybe in 20 years.
Wow.
They used ELAY to, launch several campaigns to kind of re-engage with engineers. And I think we got a significant response come back. And again, all that information was, transferred back into Vincere. That's, I think a really textbook example of how people have used it. But there's combinations of, people using the automations for things like compliance, creating a bit more of a structured workflow around the consultant's desk. So, if you're an operations manager, you can set up a workflow to go ahead and, set reminders for your consultants that if a client is added, no one's spoken to them, looking at the last activity, goes ahead and immediately schedules a task for your consultant to give them a call. So there's a lot more about helping the team sort of, ramp up a lot quicker, have a bit more of a structured day, and just, processes that will prove to deliver value.
And it feeds into Vincere's tasks, does it? Is that why you'd go in Vincere and you'd see the tasks and you'd just follow it on a daily basis? Yeah?
Exactly. I would think now, obviously, we're integrating it across all the Access CRMs, but yeah, that's that.
Yeah. So, how did ELAY come about, Mehdi? What's your story?
Good story. I like this. This is a really good founder story. See, when you hear those founder stories, you're like, that's cool. I like that. This is a good one.
All right, Nick, I will get you involved, I promise. But let's see what Mehdi's. Tell us about it, Mehdi.
No, awesome, absolutely. I was on a sabbatical at university in 2020, and I got a WhatsApp message saying, at the time, I think it was kind of early COVID. Aldi was doing a big feed the nation campaign, I think it was, and they needed a solution to help sort of do the outreach on sort of Facebook and help sort of pre-screen, high volume of applicants. In which case, kind of at that point, we launched a very sort of early stage version of our chatbot, and we gave it to them, and they took it to Facebook. I think they managed to engage with 48,000 candidates in like a week, and then kind of filter them through, making sure they're qualified, and then actually deploy them to the relevant branch. So that was our kind of first real bit of success that kind of gave us the revenue to kind of continue growing the business, and then later on work with the supplier to get these sort of chatbots into the sort of Amazon warehouses for like pre-screening them, making sure they're relevant, and then send them to the relevant site and actually going through the compliance and onboarding process with them as well. And then very much so that was the point where kind of we started building the integration with Vincere. So we had some customers on our chatbot product. We then built a CRM automation product. And then we didn't have a business development team or any sales team, so then we built a solution to go. So everything that we had to hire for, we just went and built internally, which is quite interesting. And then everything we did, we just built it and just gave people to say, test it out, see if you find it valuable. And then oftentimes people would come back and say, "This is great. Can we, can we get a few more?"
Where does your desire to build a tech business and automation base, where does that come from?
I was actually speaking about this with someone yesterday, but I mean, my mum was always kind of on my back to have a career, have something that But I think all as growing up, I've sold everything, from aquarium fish to flipping phones. And then I think when I was in sort of sixth form, I started making websites. I used to go door to door with a suit on every Saturday, saying, "Hey, do you want a website for 120 quid?" And then I think when I got to sort of university, started getting a bit more, into the world of how software is built, started building some more kind of larger scale web applications. And then I think one of the really big things that I saw a lot of people, sitting on the sideline, and I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be in the space. I wanted to be building something. I didn't want to kind of, be buying and selling shares. I wanted to be the person that sort of owned that share that was being bought or sold, to kind of put it. And and then essentially just went ahead and came up with this idea. And
was it always for recruitment then? Was it a recruitment automation idea?
The concept of the idea actually was originally to help you find gift ideas for your partner or your spouse on Amazon. So what would happen is you'd basically go ahead and say, I've got this kind of budget. This is, I think, what they'd like. And then you go to Amazon and it'd find your product, and then it would give you like an affiliate link. So you'd make a bit of money, which is, I think, is still a good idea today, even if you get it right. Wow. But then I think, recruitment, it was just a bit more like, hey, can we, process this kind of volume in this kind of situation and get this data from it? And that was all kind of bread and butter for us. So, yeah.
So you say we a lot. Who is we? So how did it go from you to a we?
Yeah, good question. So the company was founded by myself and Shine, who's kind of the tech side of the product. So he's been sort of day one, minute one, week one with us. And then very much so, very early stages, managed to get like a credit card from my mum and get some hires to the door, quite literally. And then, we just, always bringing on sort of junior developers, one or two people at a time, just building initial products. But yeah, most of the time it's been myself and Shine building the.
So Shine is he the more technical, the developer?
He was the kind of co-founder and CTO. So yeah, we had a good combination.
Do you get involved in the software, or are you more sales and strategy and marketing, etc.?
So I have a CS degree as my background, but you'll never see me coding. I think I was quite honest with myself when we built the business. I was like, look, I think I could do a good job at selling, but I'd never be a good engineer. I think you probably asked that from my professor at university. I think they'll probably tell you the same thing as well. But no, I think very early stages, I maybe helped write a few pages of HTML, but the majority of the time was spending time with customers. How do we, get this product to market, and how do we get it for the right people? Yeah.
I think that's a really, really cool skill set, though. If you really do truly understand technology, but you can communicate and you can sell, because you find people that fall into one of two camps. I never did any computer science. I never really. I wasn't interested in technology growing up. It wasn't my thing. I was more sports and just getting outside. And then I remember when I was a recruiter, I was like, why the hell didn't I do like some kind of degree in not even just business, but also like computer science? And my stepson now is into gaming, and I'm like, you do know there's like a successful career in even in gaming, and this can be a career. He's like, I'm going to be a footballer. I'm like, yeah, but if you're not, and you love this stuff, don't think this is just a hobby. Like, this can become a career. Like, it can genuinely become a career now. Whereas, I mean, building games and just technology in general, I think it's incredible. So when did it go from the idea of Amazon to the recruitment idea? What was that? Was that just through that
Yeah,
thing you
I
said
think.
about, was it Aldi?
Yeah, I mean, it was. I mean, essentially, it was kind of maybe very early days. We would speak to anyone that would pay us, basically. So I think every founder will
I know
relate
that
to this at
feeling.
some point. But yeah, anyone that will pay you, you would just say yes and do it. I think looking back at a roadmap as well, like everything that people just paid more for, we just built into the platform, even though it might not add value to someone else's, usage of our product. But it was always within sort of hiring. It was always around that area, whether it be for HR, whether it was for recruitment. But then I think really the partnership with Vincere was an opportunity, because being the first automation vendor on their marketplace meant we were getting like 5 leads, a day sometimes, where people come to us and say, hey, we've got this, could you help us with it? So then quite quickly I say pivoted, it wasn't really a pivot, it was more like we just followed where the money went, really, and then found that was a great pocket of opportunity, and then obviously integrating with other vendors as well.
So when Vincere was acquired, what
Yeah.
impact did that have on you? Because you go from, like, say,
That's a
Bernie
good
and
question.
Eloise to suddenly they've gone, and then
Yeah,
there's this huge company, and obviously now
that's
they've acquired you later. But what was it
yeah.
like in that first few months or whatever after the acquisition of Vincere?
Yeah, that's a really good question, actually. It's actually funny because when I was speaking with Shine about building the Vincere CRM product, the way that the product is, it's like you have to build it for one CRM. You can't build it for more than one CRM, otherwise it just becomes a little bit messy. And I said, look, I think if we build this, they will come and take over. And when that news obviously went out, I had to deal with a lot of a lot of backlash internally to say, look, this actually never happened. But I think it was kind of mixed, to be honest with you, because I didn't know what was going to happen with us, because that was really our exit plan, to say, like, this is what's going to happen. But then later on, once we saw that, then our relationship got even closer, both with Access and even with the Vincere team, and we started to actually work on more opportunities. We were kind of a little bit more, it was a bit more comforting. But yeah, when it went live, obviously we were like, okay, this is interesting, like, what's going to happen now? But I think seeing them go through the experience and having Access taken over, then I think there was something for us to kind of charge towards as well.
Love it. And then when did it become apparent that there was an opportunity for them to acquire your business?
That's a great question. I think maybe about a year and a half later, we had the conversation and said, look, I think there's a great partnership strategy, synergy. I think probably more than half of our customer base were Vincere / some other Access products as well, Volcanic and the other solutions as well. And yeah, it just felt like a great opportunity to really drive to the next level. And when it came up, I think we never even looked at anything else, to be honest with you. We were very sure about the decision, and kind of seeing how things are going today, I think that was definitely the right decision to make. So yeah.
So what is life like now? What's changed for you and your business?
Yeah, somebody asked me, am I working harder or like less hard? But I think definitely it's been very exciting. Definitely working a lot harder, but that's because we see a fantastic opportunity, a great vision. The people that you get to work with are incredible. I myself saw Nick on LinkedIn for several years, never actually said hi until we actually started working together. I thought, wow, what a great combination. So yeah, I mean, the people here are incredible. Felt very welcome from day one, and the opportunities we get to work on here are incredible. I think it's given everyone that sort of next level, and I think really that's what we needed as a business to continue driving forward.
So Nick, what is your exact role in this process then? How do you fit in?
Yeah, well, I'm head of new business for the recruitment division, so go to market around the new business, field new business teams. So basically, we have a leadership team, or obviously marketing and myself and others, and Matt Donnelly, who's a go-to-market and product specialist. So it was very much a case of I work closely with Chris O'Connor, our M&A director. I've fed a pipeline of people I'd love to buy, and then it's Chris's job to go and convince them that we should buy them. And then my role's been very heavily about bringing the ELAY team into the fold and working closely with them. Myself and Nick Thompson and others reproductized the full RecOS offering from a siloed sales teams around each product to now that it's fully integrated across that front, middle, and back office.
So now if a client comes to Access Recruitment, like you're going to look holistically at their tech stack and say,
Totally.
right, these are the things we can do, and this is
absolutely,
and there's different packages based on how much or little of it you need.
What we've done is we've come up with a really aggressive pricing model that even if you don't have a website, even if you don't need your website contract is up in 12, 18 months, we have a low barrier or no barrier to entry to make that happen as part of this project. We've got a lot of customers that will come in and look at the Rec OS and understand why they should have it all, but we'll agree that over that first 12, 18 months that we contract them in at different points, and that allows us to then roll the key component out and not overwhelm. And then we put a strategic plan in place with our account management team and our projects teams to roll that out in a successive plan of Rec OS delivery. And some people go all out and go all big bang. Just this morning, actually, an example, customer moved from one of our legacy products, been on there for 10, 15 years, and has gone all in the Rec OS. Vincere is a core CRM, ELAY across all of that tech stack, and amongst other parts of the product and the platform as well. And that's a large organisation.
What would you, if you got the whole shebang, what would it look like?
It would look like, it could look like many things because certain people need certain parts of it, but it would look like Volcanic website with chatbot technology. It would look like Vincere or Access Recruitment CRM, depending if you're high volume temp, like construction temp, healthcare, or Vincere for perm contract temp as well. With ELAY sitting across all of it, it could also then look like Fast Track Pay and Bill or Time Temp solution, dependent on the needs. And it would literally be a rip out and start again. So rather than have CRM and then all these other suppliers, they don't always really have a fully, like Mehdi has access to our private API. Many of these other providers will not, and that's by nature because they're not owned by the same provider, so you can't give them the keys to the castle, right? So you lose real estate, you lose functionality when you integrate, whereas what we have is every product sits directly inside our private API. So it's a seamless flow from start to finish.
So ELAY, is that a separate standalone product as well? If someone
everything can be bought as an individual product, so we can sell.
Someone just needs this,
yeah, totally.
And then it's like, right, well, we'll look at that first.
Absolutely. So you could buy just ELAY, you could buy just Volcanic, you could buy just Vincere, just the CRM, just Fast Track. You could buy some of it pieces. But what we've done is we've built out a pricing model which allows it to incentivize higher purchase, of course, right? But it allows you to have an aggressive pricing model for the thing or the parts and the pieces that you need.
Okay. Like I say, one thing I've been speaking about is automation. I think at the recent expo, were you at the one in London, Nick? Were you there?
No, I wasn't there, no. There was about 17 folk there, I think. I would just been overkill if I turned up.
Yeah. I think automation was just the buzzword. AI and automation were just the buzzwords of the event. It was like every single vendor seemed to be promoting that. And I kind of stood up there and was a bit like, well, for a lot of people, I just think you're missing a trick if you're not building your own LinkedIn account. You've been doing it for years, Nick, right? You've built that's why we all know each other from this.
Yeah.
What do you think the market feels about automation? What are the highs and lows? What are the questions you get asked? What fears do people have, and how can they navigate this big, messy space in the best possible way?
Do you know, I actually liken it to the term video back in 2018.
Yeah.
Because we were a buzzword which you had to convince people was the right thing for their investment because you didn't have an alternative. You weren't replacing a CRM. You were telling them this new video technology was the thing that was going to, drive sales or drive engagement. And it's very, very similar. No one really understood it. Then it got to a point where it was like, oh, we need video. Well, what do you mean? Well, I don't really know. I just know that everyone's telling me I need video. Yeah. And it's very, very similar to that. So people are scared. They don't actually know how to apply it. There's an unknown about what it actually is. So to some, and we've got a meeting later, which is a good example of this. To some, it is generative AI basically saying, make me a picture of that, right? And to others, it is, I want a deep, large language model that I can ask questions to my database and it will read and understand my database, and it will give me an action or a suggested action or multiple options. And there are so many, it's just such a wide and transparent journey that we yet haven't defined where people are at in the journey. So people either, some people are diving in too deep, and then they're just lost, and they're just, I don't know what to do with this, so we'll back off, and you've lost them for a period of time. And some people are dipping their toes in the water, not seeing the value because actually they're not applying it in the right way. So my feelings are there is a deep need for education across what actual real life examples are for recruiters to where it offers benefit. And in my opinion, it's not necessarily just the ChatGPT style write me a message. It's actually more, it's wider and deeper than that. As to where the value comes, and it's providing deep insight into the data and that you own as an organisation to make better informed decisions with data more confidently.
Yeah, I think that as well. It's about stages. Like people get overwhelmed because it's this big, big buzzword, and it's like people are a bit of a rabbit in the headlight. That's what I saw at that event. People were just walking around like, fucking hell, this is frightening me a little bit.
Definitely.
And I think if we need to break it into really logical steps, first look at your database and put in these two automate or this one automation and see the impact. Like, will you be able to do that with people? Will you be able to work with them to say, right, yeah, you've got ELAY now, but here's the actual roadmap of what to do.
Yeah.
And again, almost put the brakes on a little bit.
So that was one of the things
I think too many things too soon is a problem for most people.
Yeah, totally. But you see that with every tech implementation. Too much too soon. One of the things that impressed me most last year was when we first got ELAY as a team before ELAY was part of the business was, I'll shout out Leah Dolan specifically. She was very proactive in encouraging us what to do and what not to do. Looking at our account proactively and saying, you're not doing this and you should, or I think you're doing too much, and you're going to overwhelm yourself and your team. So that's one of the things I've been impressed with most. And with Mehdi still owning, I keep using keys to the castle and I don't know why. It's my buzz phrase of the day, I think. But with Mehdi still having the keys to the castle, driving the product roadmap, driving the growth of the team, and the development of that whole structure right now, and for the foreseeable, nothing changes. So that tailored human approach to good advice, bad advice, best practice, bad practice is still something that we're seeing with customers that are rolling out.
What do you think's coming next? So if you see automation playing out, this might be a better question for you, Mehdi. Like, what automation over the next few years? What is the future going to look like? What is the most obvious thing that you see coming?
I think in the next 2 to 3 years, I think definitely the involvement of the generative AI technology, things like ChatGPT, in products that we have or are using on a daily basis today, I think is definitely what's going to come. You look at all the vendors, all the major companies, all the kind of large solutions that everyone has. ChatGPT is, becoming a part of the product as standard now. We open Teams and Slack, and it's like, hey, there's a new generative AI, assistant here. So I think that's definitely to come, and I think really that's where the market will be. I think comfortably for the next at least 2 to 3 years. Obviously, depending on what happens after that and what new technologies arrive. But I think, if you're seeing a solution at the moment, then definitely you'll see some kind of generative AI or some AI assistant become a part of that solution natively going forward.
Interesting. Okay, so Nick, if someone's listening to this and they're thinking, I've been listening to the RAG for a long time. Vincere has obviously been promoted consistently. Now, we've brought in a bit of a conversation about Volcanic and Diversely and all these different products. Like, why should they, in your opinion, reach out to Access and have a conversation? Like, what's going to be the ultimate benefit of interacting with your team and going through this RecOS exploration?
Yeah, totally. Really, really good question that we're being asked a lot right now. But ultimately, to kind of reiterate the point that what we see as a market that is fatigued with one vendor and its marketplace, and the lack of real estate that then provides. What we also see is people that want a core CRM, never mind the rest of their platform, but they want a core CRM that will continue to disrupt and develop. And they want a platform that is always going to move forward, not sit stagnant and rely on people building other tools in order for their core CRM to become valuable. And I think a lot of the market feel that way. And Access as an organization, whilst being 8,000 staff globally across 10 divisions, we are a small division and a very agile, scale-up and startup-minded business that is going at pace to buy up and give our customer. One, our Trustpilot score sits just shy of 5 over the last year. We are absolutely focused on customer service and how we get it right for the customer. It's our entire FY 24-25 mantra. And what people want is a flow of data and a scalable solution that means they never have to leave but can grow their tech as they grow their business. Then Access and Vincere and the RecOS has got to be a consideration.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. And if people can get in with you early and scale with the products, they're almost future-proofing their business, because they're like, well, we're into this ecosystem now, and it's kind of going to. Well, we've got the confidence that the vision from Access Recruitment is that they're going to provide us with all the points that we need to build the business in one place, rather than having to go to, like you say, multiple vendors.
Our partnerships and our integration pipeline is really, really exciting. There's going to be an enormous amount of noise coming out of us in the next 12 months across continued development on the products that we have in the stack, but also things we're going to bring into the fold. And genuinely, there's got to be a reason that I left a really thriving, growing, exciting product to come to Access at the time that I did. And it's because I fully and deeply buy into the concept of one recruitment operating system with the best tech in the market and the best minds in the market.
How many people are there in the recruitment side of Access?
I think there are probably about just over 200 of us as a full organisation. That's split across Australia, UK and Vietnam, which is predominantly the Vinny team, right? From there. But yeah, we're about 210 maybe, 220 staff.
And Mehdi, how many people was in your business when you got acquired?
I think we had about 22, 23.
Wow.
But yeah, obviously we've been going quite.
So that must be a real change.
Yeah, I mean, everyone feels like there's a lot more structure and process around things now, which I think being a startup is like all over the place. But yeah,
are you long term seeing yourself involved here? Like, obviously, Helen Maguire was really open when she was acquired that her journey's different. She's not, she's still involved, but not nowhere near the level she was. There's people taking that product on now. What's your vision personally within the group?
Absolutely. No, I think my vision is definitely long term. My main responsibilities will be to essentially lead the sort of automation and AI and generative AI charge within the Access recruitment side of things going forward. So my main responsibilities will still be kind of to speak with customers, build the roadmap, build the products, release them, make sure that we are sort of delivering those capabilities across all the products moving forward. So yeah, I think vision is definitely long term, and very, very excited, and it's been very busy, so it's been good.
Exciting. Guys, thanks so much for your time. It's nice to put faces now. I think what we've been trying to do as a group, myself attached to the Access group for the last 6 to 12 months, is bring out some of them faces. Odro, you, Dougie, even Gianni, the faces alongside Ryan were so prevalent. Even the early Vincere, the faces were there. And I think the Access felt a bit faceless. And I think Nick's done a phenomenal job at facing, I love what he said in my most recent episode with him. He goes, at some point I'm going to stop apologizing for things and we're going to start talking about the success because he knows what, he's not hiding from the fact there's been some hiccups, but they're trying to build something big and impressive and it's part of the journey. So having ELAY, diversely, all these faces coming out, I think is only making the brand feel more accessible. I mean, Access Group, it should feel accessible for all.
Totally.
And that's what we're on a mission to do.
100%. And look, really appreciate the support and the partnership that you give us too. You've been a huge platform for us to bring those faces forward and share the vision, because one of the things, and I'm not the guy to go into the past, but there was just no one has shared the story of what's happened in the last couple of years at Access and how different things are. and how different things will become. And you've been a huge platform for us, so like, we're super grateful, and like, I personally really appreciate your partnership with us.
Pleasure. Guys, thanks so much. If anyone wants to speak to you guys about the platform, Nick, I think you're the best person to reach out to, right? Rather than Mehdi.
Reach out to me, reach out to Mehdi, reach out to myself, however, but you'll find me on LinkedIn. There'll be I'm obnoxiously on your timeline very regularly, so you won't struggle to find me if you search my name.
Love it. Guys, thanks so much, and we'll get you back on again in the future, okay?
Cheers. All the best. Thanks again.
Thank you as always for listening to today's show. I truly hope that you got value from it. Honestly, it's the only reason I take time every week to ensure that my audience, you guys, future and existing recruitment owners, you're learning from each other to make this industry that I love so much stronger. And today's episode is brought to you by my business, Hoxo. I'm the CEO and founder, and we're on a mission to help brand recruitment agencies and their people better. I want to help people have the tools to stand out in the most competitive markets in the world. We're currently working with over 350 recruitment agencies and 5,000 of their consultants right now, helping them to build their personal brands, to consistently win more business, attract talent, and just become that go-to recruiter in the market. Now, we do have a huge coaching program, but a lot of people don't know we also manage the brands of a lot of founders, and we can do the rebrand of that company organizational piece as well. So if your recruitment agency either needs help to look and sound exactly how you want it to, or your leadership and consultant level need to get out there and drive more traffic back to that website, to the business, and start using LinkedIn to generate more revenue, then you should definitely be reaching out to us. If that sounds of interest, please do visit www.hoxomedia.com or drop me, Sean, a personal message on LinkedIn. I love hearing from RAG listeners. I would love to talk to you. Look forward to it. So I'll see you again next week with another episode. Catch you soon.